We're very excited, as always, about our speaker today, a very unique lady. Katie Castillo-Wilson is the founder and CEO of TapOnIt. It's based in Iowa, a technology company that is most commonly known for TapOnIt deals. Prior to launching TapOnIt, she was the digital advertising director for a local media company. She helped thousands of businesses with digital marketing strategies, and as most of you know, if you've ever dealt with it, changes all the time. And in 2014, she left her career to launch TapOnIt with a goal of helping brands connect with consumers in the most direct way possible. A text message. Katie has raised over $5 million since inception, and now TapOnIt's technology is used all over the country to connect brands with consumers. And a personal level, Katie enjoys spending time with her two amazing teenagers, Taze and Lydia, and she has a dog, Ollie. And we are so happy to have you. Please, it's kind of natural to say please welcome with applause, but we'll applaud for you anyway. This is Katie Castillo-Wilson.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me today. First of all, I love seeing all of these women together, supporting each other, networking virtually. I was saying to Christy and yesterday that I wish we could be in person because I really prefer that, but next time, right? So yeah, like Julie said, my name is Katie Castillo-Wilson. I'm the founder and CEO of TapOnIt. My dog Ollie is actually asleep on the floor right here. He's totally spoiled and gets to come to work with me every day. So if he were to bark, I apologize. He is our chief marketing officer though. So very important role in the company. But so today I thought that I would just tell you guys a little bit about my story because it's definitely been an interesting one. And, you know, TapOnIt is about almost 6 years old now. And so I've been running this race now for about 6 years. And I can tell you it's been some of the hardest years of my life, but also some of the most rewarding. And so I thought I'd tell you just a little bit about the company, what we do, raising money, doing things, raising more money, doing other stuff, still raising money because that's kind of what it is. And I'm operating in a very male-driven world, you know, having a tech company based in Iowa, you know, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Iowa is not the tech hub of the world. So, you know, I couldn't have picked things to be much more unique or difficult. But a little bit of my backstory. So when I graduated from high school just a few years ago, I had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do. I ended up going to Iowa State. I was there for not even a full semester when I discovered that I was blessed with my son. So I got pregnant my very first semester of my freshman year of college. And much to my mother's dismay, I decided that I should move back to the Quad Cities and get married and have a kid and then have another kid. And next thing you know, I was 24 and getting divorced and had two young children. And it was an interesting world to be in. And I had actually never done anything in the world of marketing. I have an accounting degree, which I did for a while, but I was super bored. Had to sit in a cubicle by myself. And if you can imagine, I'm more of a people person. I like to talk to people. So me being alone in a corner didn't really work out. But I ended up applying for a position with the Quad City Times, which is our local newspaper. And if you guys, anybody here heard of the Quad Cities? No, that's okay. I'm not surprised. So we are located right on the border of Iowa, Illinois. We're right on the Mississippi River, 2 cities in Iowa, 2 cities in Illinois. It's very exciting. But I ended up moving back here, like I said, and I did accounting for a little while. I was bored. So I applied for the position at the Quad City Times, totally entry-level sales position, but I fell in love with marketing while I was there. And I ended up working my way up through the ranks. In my last year there, I was a digital advertising director, managed about 30 people. And part of my claim to fame there was, if you remember back in like 2008, Groupon started. Everybody remember Groupon? Yeah. So we were early in the space and copied Groupon, just like everybody else ended up doing. And so turned that into a huge program that went well, which helped to add to my success as well. But it was probably about August of 2013 that I started working on an idea. Okay. When I looked at the marketing space, and I'm actually going to share my screen now. So let's see if I can do that without screwing anything up. Hold on a second. Bear with me. There's my dog and my messy desktop. All right. So when I looked at the marketing space in general, everyone has always been so focused on email, right? Which is important. It makes sense. It's a great communication tool. But when it comes to marketing, a lot of times you see email inboxes like this. And I don't know about you. I know that some people are really good about getting rid of the red dots, but mine has actually gotten worse. I'm at 32,000 unread emails now and a lot of other red dots on my screen. So it might stress you out, but it's something that a lot of people are experiencing. Oops. So, you know, at that same time, text messaging was really becoming a big thing, not only for person to person communication, but also for brands to start communicating with businesses or with consumers. And yet, the way that they did it was just boring. You think about most of the marketing messages that you get from brands, and oftentimes it's just a black and white text. But people are visual. All right. And, for a business to not just use email, but to also reach out to people in the text messaging space, it gives them that one piece of information and a connection to a person that rarely changes. When was the last time you changed your cell phone number? For most people, I've had the same one since I was a junior in high school just a few years ago. And I have no desire to change it because it's tied to everything in my life. And so, really what I thought about and what led me to quitting my job to launch this tech company was people don't change their cell phone numbers. So if brands can get to the point where they can communicate at that level, it gives them the ability to be prepared for whatever comes next because they can text you and ask you to follow them on whatever social media channel or, really whatever form of communication comes next. So it was back in June of 2014 that I quit my job, much to my family's dismay. I had a great job, lots of perks, made a lot of money, kids were happy, but it was a very corporate world. And there were things that I loved about it. I learned a ton. I found my passion. But I also learned a lot of things on how I wouldn't want to run a business. And so June of 2014, I quit my job. I had put together a very amateur, there's that train I mentioned earlier. Sorry, it's like right there. But I put together a very amateur presentation on how I was going to build a company and raise money. And really the whole idea was what you're seeing here on the screen is, for the most part, and this is a text just from a couple months ago, for the most part, brands are communicating in text with just black and white bubbles and a link. But people are visual, right? Our brain processes images 60,000 times faster than it does words. So my thought process was that if you can put images of the product or the promotion or the call to action or the content into the text thread of people who signed up to receive it, it was going to be a much better user experience and drive higher engagement for both the businesses and the users. So, like I said, I quit my job in June of 2014, and I started talking to anybody who would listen to me about my ideas. And I ended up meeting a gentleman who tried to recruit me to work for his startup. And he's like, I think you'd be a great fit. I want you to meet my business partner. And so I ended up sitting down with his business partner, and I politely told him every reason that I couldn't come work for him because it just wasn't my passion. And he asked me what it was that I wanted to do. And I conveniently had my laptop with me with my super boring PowerPoint that had pictures. And originally, I think I had the company named Green Deals. Very exciting. But after showing him the plan, he's like, all right, let's do that. And Jim ended up being my first investor. He introduced me to a few other people in the area that also ended up contributing. And it was about October of 14 that we started actually working on the company. And hang on a second, I want to make sure that I don't miss any of my notes here. But, when you think about it, your cell phone, it's with you all the time, right? Many of us use our cell phones as our alarm clocks. So we literally sleep with our cell phones, right? So, the marketing space and the opportunity there was huge. And so we started down the path of building out the tech, and it was actually April 6th of 2015 that we launched our technology. So our sixth and our golden birthday is coming up here very quickly. Um, Knowing what I know now, being a female founded Hispanic technology owner, founder in Iowa, not only is that not normal, but of all of the venture capitalist money that goes to companies in general, when people are raising money, less than 3% actually goes to female founded businesses. And so, I was really lucky to have the support of some of the people here in our area. But when it came to taking our company to the next level, it was not going to be an easy step or an easy journey because 97% of the money goes to men. Isn't that just ridiculous? I mean, men are great, but come on, really? So, real quick, before I get super far into talking about raising money and where those things went, I do want to explain a little bit more about what our technology does. And so, Jill Erling, who I had been with the chamber previously, she lived here in the Quad Cities and actually was a few years younger than me in high school. And so she was the one who reached out. I guess she follows me on LinkedIn, and occasionally I write inspirational blogs or things like that. But she was the one that asked me to come speak with you. And she had actually experienced part of our technology while she was living here. So real quick, what we do at TapOnIt is we've developed a technology that allows for us to include up to 9 images in a single text message. So oftentimes when you get a text from a brand, you may see one image or maybe an animated GIF. But for us, we let companies, for the same cost as a single image, they can include multiple pieces of product or promotion in that text thread, which that's really important space, right? Because 99% of text messages are open, 90% are open within 3 minutes of being received. So for a brand, it really means that people are at least going to see their brand and an idea of the message that they want to get across. From there, there's a lot of other activity, but really quickly, like January of 2015, I realized that building out a SaaS platform, which is what this is. So for those of you who don't know, SaaS is software as a service. It's kind of like a do it yourself. So we were building the technology so that people could use our tech to grow their own databases, schedule the campaigns themselves, pretty much do it all themselves. Well, I had raised $1 million, and I quickly realized that $1 million wasn't going to last very long when it came to building the company. And so we ended up on April 6th of 2015, launching what we call TapOnIt Deals. And unfortunately, we are not in the Jackson area yet, but someday, hopefully we will make it there. But what we do at TapOnIt Deals is we build a database of people who have 100% signed up to receive offers and promotions from a wide variety of businesses via text. So if you want to try this, you can actually scan the QR code or text to the phone number 82928 and send the word tap on it. If you want to see active offers come back, I've got a zip code up here on the screen that you can use. Otherwise, if you do put in your own zip code, what it will do is save you into our database where when we do launch in your area, you'll be the first to know. But again, those text messages, when somebody opts in for the first time, it comes back with the most recent 9 offers. From there, you can click on a link. It opens up into a browser space. So we're not an app. Apps are great. Unfortunately, 70% are deleted within the first 90 days of being downloaded. How many of you have downloaded an app to use it once and then you never touch it again, right? So we chose to take that browser-based path just because we thought it would be an easier user experience. And so far, that's proven to be a good choice. In here, you can see all of the offers that are available in your area. You can click into a page where you'll see that offers are shareable. So for example, Chick-fil-A, they had a free chicken sandwich. The bonus offer, free cookie, share to unlock. People can share these offers on Facebook, Twitter, text, Messenger. And when somebody joins through their link, they will then unlock this bonus offer of a free cookie. Now, when we started in the Quad Cities and in every market that we go into, we have to start with 0 people in our database because it is a 100% permission-based database, right? You have to opt in. Not only that, you have to double opt in by confirming with your zip code. So we started with 0 people, and luckily in the Quad Cities, we grew very quickly. We now have over 72,000 people in our database, which is almost a 20% market share. And when you think about that, these people have literally signed up to be texted ads, right? I mean, in many cases, we pay to avoid ads, right? That's why we use things like Netflix or Spotify. And now, even on desktop, it's getting easier and easier to block the ads from the content you're trying to see. Whereas here, they're like, send them to me. And it's because we only send out great deals. We're not obnoxious. It's up to 3 times a week. And let's be real, everybody eats, right? So if you can save some money while you're out to eat, why wouldn't you do that? Now we've gotten to the point, though, in the Quad Cities where you'll often hear people say, when I'm trying to decide what I want to do this weekend, I'll check TapOnIt to see what offers they have for restaurant, retail, and entertainment. And the results that we drive for these businesses is also pretty crazy. So these are just a couple examples of businesses. So Dairy Queen back in, actually this was the heart of the pandemic, May, June of 2020, they ended up with a 10% redemption rate. So when you think about marketing in general, that's not something you hear very frequently. So this is, like I said, started in 2015, and the money kept going for a little while. We were generating revenue. It was a great start. But once we had really validated the whole model, we decided that it was time to continue to grow. And so I started going out and about pitching VCs, which, again, how much money goes to female-founded companies? Not much. I started here in the Midwest, and I probably had 100 conversations. And some of the most intimidating experiences I've ever had, because I would walk into these rooms to ask people for millions of dollars, right? And it would be a table of men and me. And I heard things, everything from, oh, honey, that's super cute. It's impressive that you've made it this far, to, and this is actually kind of funny, but one guy actually said, all right, so let me get this. You're female. I'm like, clearly, yes. You're a single mom. You're Hispanic. You live in Iowa. And you've got this tech company. And I'm like, yes. He's like, man, if you were gay, you'd have it all. And I'm like, I mean, for the right amount of money, I don't know. But I mean, like, literally, these were the kind of comments that I was getting from people that I was talking to. And, you know, my path and what I hope to do in the future is to help support other women who are looking to grow, companies of their own. So I do have big plans to hopefully help change those numbers when it comes to investing in female-founded companies, and whether they're in Iowa or Jackson, Tennessee, I don't know, but I believe that there are smart people everywhere, not just New York and Silicon Valley, right? And if anything, we've learned these past 12 months that thanks to the internet, you can do anything from anywhere. So okay, going on from there, like I said, I started going out there and pitching, and it was hard. I heard a lot of no's, but in August of 2017, our Chamber of Commerce here in the Quad Cities hosted a luncheon in person, because remember, we did things in person back then, and had a speaker there. This guy's name is Bonin. He was from New York. He had been a CMO for Mondelez. He had done a lot of big things, and he's up there speaking to 300 people that were at this luncheon, and he is talking about the importance of text messaging. And I'm sitting in this meeting like, who the heck is this guy? And he's talking about exactly what I do. And so afterwards, they had a breakout session that they had included me in, because I was in the marketing space. He was marketing, seemed like it made sense. And, he answered questions and things. And at the end, I just raised my hand and I'm like, how can I get 15 minutes of your time? And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, I have a text message marketing tech company here in the Quad Cities that does everything that you're talking about, but honestly, we do it better. And he's like, all right, well, let's go talk. So I ended up walking across the street, and remember, this was a lunch meeting. So it was probably about 3 o'clock at that time. And I had a couple beers, which turned into more beers. He ended up missing his flight back to New York because he was so intrigued with everything that we were doing. And Bonin now is still, he's a mentor, he's an advisor, he's involved in our company, and he's a good friend at this point. But so that was August. In December of 2017, thanks to a couple introductions that Bonin had made, and also some connections that I had made in my former career in the media industry, I went out to New York and started pitching VCs there. And I still got no's, and that's okay because I was used to it at that point, right? And it's crazy because when somebody tells you no, they have a million different reasons. I did learn that I would prefer that they just tell me no instead of like dragging me on, making me think that maybe there's a chance. It's like, I can handle it. I'm a big girl. I think they were afraid of hurting my feelings though. So, but I had the opportunity to meet with the owners of what is now Gannett, the largest the largest newspaper company in the United States. And it was literally the most intimidating meeting I had. I didn't mention, but my sister is actually one of my business partners, and she went with me on that trip out to New York. And she didn't go with me to the meeting. She literally like was in the Uber, got out of the car, and I'm like, pulling up my big girl panties, and I got my high heels on, and I'm ready to walk into this room. And I walk into the room, and it's a huge boardroom, and there's like 9 men around it. And then there were another 8 people on a phone call. And, first of all, I started pitching them about being a partner for TapOnIt deals because they have salespeople, right? And they have media that they could help build an audience. And like, this would be a really great way for us to grow faster. But then it went into, and we're raising money. And my goal at that point had been $1 million, which was going to be helpful. It certainly wasn't going to be the end of what I needed to raise. But I walked out of that meeting feeling like I had totally killed it, right? Like I felt like it was one of the best presentations I had. I got back in the car with my sister, and, we're high-fiving and all of that. And it was December 7th, actually. And so we got invited to a couple of Christmas parties where we had way too much fun that night. And the next morning had a 7 o'clock flight. And as we're waiting there to get on the plane, I checked my email, and I had an offer from the CEO of what is now Gannett offering us $2 million in exchange for 20% of our company. So if you've never raised money, that's how it works, right? To get money, you give equity. And the terms were exactly what we wanted. And really, when you think about it, it took one trip to New York City for us to talk to people who, unfortunately, at that time were more open-minded there than they were in the Midwest. Now, those times have changed a little bit, and it's gotten easier, but that was what really gave us the momentum to continue to grow. So now, we ended up, the money hit the bank. It was like the most exciting day ever, January of 2018. And immediately, we moved into a bigger office, started hiring more people, developers. We have a team here in office. We also work with a group in Greece as contractors, just so we have more people creating things faster. And we got to the point where we were doubling our revenue year over year. And 2019, honestly, was probably one of the coolest years of my life so far. We got to go visit our dev group in Greece. I was invited to speak at South by Southwest and the Cannes Festival in France, which Mexico had been the furthest I've gotten before. So this is pretty exciting. But, I remember I took my kids, we went to Cabo for Christmas in December of 19, and we were there on New Year's Eve. And I remember us talking about how lucky we are and how blessed we are, and how, we just had the most amazing year, and things are only going to continue to get better from there. And so, we could all come back to work in January of 2020. And we had just launched, literally March 2nd, we launched this massive sweepstakes, nationwide sweepstakes, giving away a trip to Greece where you would get to spend 5 nights on a private yacht, biggest marketing spend we've ever done. This was it. This is how we're going to grow our national database. That was March 2nd. By March 4th, a yacht looked like a cruise ship, right? Nobody wanted to get on a cruise ship. By March 10th, couldn't leave the country. And by March 17th, things were shut down. And I'm sure that a lot of you I see are still working in your homes. I'm actually at my office, which makes me super happy. But it was the beginning of what I didn't know what would come next. You know, when you think about TapOnIt deals, which was the majority of our revenue at that time, right? It was the biggest piece of our company. We were focused on restaurant, retail, and entertainment. So, no more entertainment, right? Can't go out to concerts. I'm still grieving that. My side group, we talked about what would be the first thing that we would do, and concerts was one of the things that was listed, and I feel the same way. So entertainment was out, and then restaurants closed down, and retail, unless you were, essential, were gone. And so all of a sudden, my sales reps are trying to call on businesses to talk to them, and it was heartbreaking, right? Because they're like, not only can I not afford to spend money on advertising, but I don't even know if I'm going to be able to keep my doors open. And so, and I was calling on businesses, getting the same reaction, and it sucked. I don't know about you guys, but it sucked. Last year sucked. But at the end of April, after hearing heartbreaking stories and dealing with sobbing sales reps because they're like, I don't know what to do. And what about my commission? And I'm like, I don't know what to do because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay a commission. So we decided to take a chance, and we gave away advertising throughout April and May. And we ended up giving away over $1 million worth of advertising to the businesses and the markets that we supported. And it was crazy. All of my investors thought I was freaking crazy. And I'm like, but it'll come back. I mean, when you build relationships that way, when you businesses grow when they don't know how to grow. And think about this, unless you were pizza or a Chinese restaurant, you didn't know how to do drive-through, delivery, carry out, right? I mean, so many of those businesses had to completely recreate themselves, not only the operations, but also they had to train their customers that, hey, you can't dine in, but you can still get our food. So it was a really important month for us, and it was definitely a feel-good month. And I think that it kept the spirits up of our whole company, and it really has come back. Now businesses are opening back up. We've gained new customers. Our database has kept growing. Money was tough. And so at the beginning of the year, last year, I had actually started raising money again. And you can imagine conversations in January, February were going great. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to close this round in March. And then, March hit and everything closed. Not my round though. And so, we ended up raising more money in July. And part of the reason though that we were even able to do that is, if you think back to what I said at the beginning of what I wanted to do with my company, it wasn't about deals. It was about a SaaS platform that we wanted to help other companies build their own databases and reach customers in a more direct way. And so my entire team, we still had people focused on TapOnIt deals, but other than that, we started shifting our focus back to building out that software as a service, because the whole goal was to go away from advertising revenue, which can be fickle, right? Anybody who's in the media space knows that. You get McDonald's one year and they spend $1 million and you're like, yeah. And the next year they don't, and you're facing the $1 million and you're like, ugh. So we wanted to diversify. And so we really did. We focused back into the SaaS platform. Now we're supporting a ton of other businesses on helping to grow their databases. TapOnIt Deals is growing again, which is great. But one of the biggest things that I learned in 2020 was, first of all, how to pivot. I learned how to depend on a team. And, I told you how blessed I was with my family, but I can't even begin to tell you how important my team is and how resilient they've been. And just about 2 weeks ago, I started raising money again. All right. So I've raised $5 million. Here I'm looking to raise another 2 million. And actually that 2 million, the goal is that that's going to get us until next year, middle of next year, where we'll raise a Series A round, which, when you hear about companies who've raised like $30 million and you're like, what the hell are you going to do with $30 million? Grow is the idea. And so that's what our plan is for next year. But it was amazing. These conversations that I've had in this past 2 weeks have been completely different. because now our platform, we're not just focused on advertising revenue, right? We've got monthly recurring revenue through our SaaS platform, which makes us stronger. We also created a community gift card. That was something that we launched here in the Quad Cities, and we're hoping to launch everywhere. It was called Keep It QC. It's a Visa-backed card, but it was branded and sold as a product to help shop local. We built out a platform that helped businesses who didn't have e-gift cards be able to offer them. So we diversified our revenue in a big way. And even though we saw a drop in revenue in these past 12 months, which as a startup, when you double your revenue year over year and then all of a sudden you go backwards, that's not a good thing. But these investors now that we're talking to have seen that we can pretty much survive anything. Right? I mean, the fact that we made it through 2020 where nobody knew what they were going to do, it was a game changer for us. And it's been pretty exciting because I'm getting yeses. And instead of it being like, wow, this is tough, you're a female tech company in Iowa. Now it's like, damn, you're a female tech company in Iowa and you guys survived 2020. And you're on a path to growth that unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of companies weren't able to do in these past year. And so, part of the message that I always like to share with people, and part of the reason I like to share my story, especially with women, is if I can do this as your single mom, female founder, Hispanic tech company in Iowa, anyone can do this. And I've helped to prove that you don't need to be smart in New York or Silicon Valley to start something and build it. And so if I could leave you with one thing today, it would be that if you have an idea, pursue it. Because chances are, if you've thought about it enough and it solves a problem or makes your life easier or provides a service that doesn't currently exist in that way or well, women can do a better job of fixing it. And I hope that at some point when you guys are raising money, that I'm in a position that I can help to invest in your ideas and your companies too, because it's time to turn that VC dollar around and let's get some equality across the venture capitalist world instead of this male domination that we see now. So,
Katie,
kind of my story there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What an amazing, wonderful story. And folks may have questions, ladies, and you can tap on your chat and get in that. I wanted to ask you if we're Q&A now. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
I think the first thing that comes to mind, and you're talking about raising money. I got to raise money. Just kind of, and I'm sure you're good at it by now, but I would imagine that is the most intimidating thing about someone who has a wonderful idea, believes in what they're doing, very passionate about what they're doing, but you've got to have some kind of key, some kind of hook, something to get people to invest in that business. What do you have a formula or a few key buzzwords, or how does that go? If you can talk about that.
For sure. The biggest thing that you'll hear from VCs and investors, and it doesn't always have to be, venture capitalists out of Silicon Valley. I mean, my first investors were business owners here in the area, but they'll tell you that they're not just investing in an idea, right? They're really investing in the leadership and the founder, and they look for the passion. And so it's what you said, having to believe in what you're doing and to know that you're the right person to do it too, is a really big deal. And it is some of the most intimidating, scariest, and even heartbreaking conversations because, obviously when you take the leap into starting a company, that's your baby, right? Like you put your heart and soul into it. And when you go into these meetings and some guy tells you that it's not going to work for one reason or another, it's like they're calling your baby ugly and kicking your dog on the way out. And so, it's every time I do a pitch, I end up going back in and making changes to my pitch deck. One question that people sometimes ask me is, how did you learn how to do this? Because as you heard, I went to school for, it was accounting. I had never raised money. When it came to sales, I did advertising sales and I waited tables and, so I was good with people, right? You can read the room type thing. But I Googled, I looked at pitch decks from huge companies like Airbnb and Facebook. But the number one thing that I would do to even learn how to have those conversations once I was in the room was watch Shark Tank. So
I wanted to ask you if if you had ever been on Shark Tank, because I can so see that.
no, it's tough when you're in the tech space, Shark Tank's not necessarily the best option. Um, it's so good for product, right? I actually had a friend here in the Quad Cities who was on Shark Tank just a few weeks ago for her bathing suit company that she created. And she ended up getting an investment from Kendra Scott, which is she's the jewelry company, which was amazing. But for products, it's great. What I loved about Shark Tank and why I still watch it whenever I can is actually learning about the questions that investors would ask. So my kids who are now, my son is 18, he's going to NYU in the fall. My daughter is 16. She's going to get sold on eBay if she doesn't shape up. But when they were little and we were really just getting into this, we would be watching the show and Mark Cuban would ask a question and my son would pause it and be like, how would you answer that? And I sit there, and he was like, 10. So that was part of the way that I actually figured out even what I was doing or, knew what questions to prepare for. And that's part of it is every time you go in, somebody asks you a question that you didn't think of, nobody has ever asked, they look for it in a different way. And having to know your numbers inside and out is another thing. So, the hook is, first of all, why wouldn't you want a database of phone numbers, right? Why wouldn't you want to text with your customers? And then there are other companies that do it, but we've taken a totally different route by using images the way that we do. And so, and at this point, we've validated our model. We've proven that it works through TapOnIt deals. So now we've got great technology. We have databases that we own in addition to our SaaS solution where we're managing other people's databases, and we have revenue. So, a lot of times, Instagram, for example, when they first started, they had no revenue model. All right. They were acquired by Facebook for $1 billion and they had 12 employees. And what they got bought for was because of the users. Right. And so it's like we're in a great spot now because we have users, we have tech, we have data, and there's a revenue model. And so, my end goal for the company, as much as I love doing what I'm doing, I'm hoping to retire at least from this piece. I have other plans by the time I'm 42. So I have 3.5 years. All right.
Good luck for you.
that's
Yeah, I hope so. We do have about 5 minutes
yes, please.
left, and I just got a question in, unless it got popped off. Here's a question from let's see. Vicky, you stated that you're in retail, food, entertainment. What other industries do you see your company expanding to in the future?
Yeah. So, TapOnIt deals, that database that signs up for offers and promotions, they're the ones that we really focus on: food, beverage, restaurant, retail, entertainment, and sending offers there. We do advertise for other types of businesses. We just had Han, which is a furniture manufacturer, ask about running an employment ad. But on the SaaS side of the business, we, for example, Arconic, they used to be Alcoa. They're a huge aluminum manufacturer. They use our technology to communicate with their employees. Email wasn't good enough. Sometimes they have alerts that they need to get out, and sending a text is faster. We're in the process of working with a large recruiting company to build out a platform for them to use. And, really, and this is, so our visitor, the CVB or DMO here in the area in the Quad Cities, they're going to be launching using our tech to build a database of people who are looking to travel here and people who live here to keep them aware of what's happening in the community. So we've got a couple of other communities that are going to be doing that as well. Anybody who sends an email newsletter or is really active on Facebook, you've got content. This doesn't have to be coupons. It can be content. You just know that people are going to read it because it's in a text.
Great. Another question. This is from WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News. How would you say that being a woman has benefited and hindered your journey to success?
I would say that part of the way that being a woman has been a benefit is I am resilient, and I've been through hard times before, and I've done things on my own for a very long time, and you know, I- I'm tough, and I've had to be that way because I am a single mom and I have two kids, and even in the media industry. When you look at the people who are running those companies, let's be real, it's often a lot of old white men. And I managed to work my way up there. And so um, I don't know that men in the situation that I would have been in, that I've been in, would have fought as hard. Right. And so I think that that's one is I've got thick skin, and that's been a big deal. I do also think that when people hear my story and I talk about being female founder, that now that's different, right? And diversity is a huge topic of conversation right now. And so as we continue to grow and as we get into the right rooms with the right people, I truly believe that that'll benefit. Hindering, it's because women just aren't considered as big of a factor in this space. Like I said, 2 to 3% of VC capital going to women. I mean, that's despicable. It's awful. And so, for me to have to fight to get part of that 2 or 3%, um, it's a tough battle because there are lots of women trying to do things and just not enough people who are considering that that might be the place to put their investment dollars.
We've
So
got time for one. We've got time for one more question. Teresa is asking, how do you still operate and not, as she puts it, give your company away?
yeah, so yeah, that's a great question because we did talk about equity a little bit, right? And so when you start a company, depending on the size of the company and the revenue model and everything else, you start with 100%, right? Between my sister and I, we own the company. For every investor that we bring in, they're getting a small piece of the company. The nice part is that as your company grows and as the value grows, depending on how much money they put in, the pieces are going to get smaller, right? Because now $2 million would not get a company 20% of ours, because we have a much higher valuation. And so we've pretty much put, a line in the sand on where we want to be. But even major companies that have raised lots of money, you'll often hear that the founders get down to 10% of the company. But I would rather have a small piece of a really big pie than no pie at all, right? I love pie. So in some cases, it's all right to be diluted if it means that you get to be bigger.
Yeah, that is great. I guess that's all of our questions for today, and it's about time to wrap it up. It's getting close to 11. Katie Castillo-Wilson, the founder of and CEO of TapOnIt in Iowa today, and I guess we could go there, look around. It's TapOnIt. Just
Yeah.
Google that. And
Yeah, if you go to taponit.com, you'll be able to see some of our tech there. You can also see, if you click into the deals area up at the top, you can see TapOnIt deals. And yeah, we would love to have you sign up so that you're ready when we get to Jackson.
wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all of your experiences and information with us today. The Women in Business, of course, hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, and that is what it's all about. Sherry McCarter says, "Great, thank you." And we've got some other
Thank
great
you.
comments. Awesome from Julie. Haley Golden Orange, thank you very much. So awesome from Ada, very inspiring. Just reading some comments that are
Thank you.
popping up here, and I'm sure there are more, but I think we all need a little beacon of light, especially in these times, and you're certainly that. We thank you very much, Katie
Thank
Castillo.
you
And
so
again,
much.
you just Google Tap on It. It's one word.
Yep.
Many,
All right.
many great wishes to you, and thanks so much for sharing with us.
Thanks, ladies. It was fun. I appreciate you.
Sure.
All right.
That is going to conclude our Women in Business. I can't stop saying Women in Business luncheon, but our virtual meeting for today. And again, we are so grateful for our sponsors, Commercial Bank and Trust, our title sponsor, along with Nordstar Medical Skincare and Laser Center, Roberts Jewelers, West Tennessee Women's Center. Our event would not be possible without all of these sponsors, and we appreciate you so much. But please keep an eye on the chamber emails for details about our next Women in Business event. We, as we said earlier, it's been over a year. Last February in 2020 was the last time we got to actually be all together. So maybe next time. Have a great week, everybody, and God bless.